Hey, this is Kenny with Line Talkers Podcast. I know how much all you listeners want your cool line shirts, your hard hat stickers, tools, and any other exclusive merch to show off your pride and promote what we all do in this trade. That's why Line Talkers Podcast has partnered with the good folks at Line Crate. Their subscription boxes are like Christmas every month for linemen and their families. And your order helps honor our fallen linemen by sending their children free Line Kid Line Crates to help them through this tough time. Grab yours today and get a special surprise with your 6 to 12 month subscription. Go to linecrate.com and I promise you won't be disappointed. With another episode of the Line Talkers Podcast, and yes, I am back with another awesome guest. One thing I've learned by doing this podcast over the last couple of years is that I never cease to amaze myself. So stop with the eye roll and just hear me out a second. Before you go thinking I'm that arrogant, let me take a second to explain what I mean. I never cease to amaze myself, and then I keep finding top-notch, awesome people to interview. You know, some do podcasts for popularity and fame, some do it for money, some do it to inspire others. But I found that as I look at my numbers of downloads, I am very humbled that people all over the world listen in every now and then. But at the end of the day, what really matters is that each guest that I have had on the show over these last couple of years have inspired me, even if no one else. This next one is no different. At age 48, he walked away from his corporate job to start his own gig. He has a very cool story working in a very cool business. He's a great example of getting your priorities in order and establishing a new course. I think after you listen, you will agree with me on this as just another good one. Here's my next guest, Jamie Goddard, in this episode titled Grounded by Rope.
My name is Jamie Goddard. I was born and raised and still currently live in the state of Maine.
You founded and own the company called The Rope Guru. I found you on Instagram like I do a lot of the folks that come on the show that I interview. Tell me a little bit about how you got in this business and maybe start, and I did do a little stalking, I guess you might say, your website. You have a story to tell of how you got in this business.
I grew up a lobsterman, a commercial fisherman right through high school. Spent my 20s after high school on commercial fishing boats offshore, like coast of Maine, lobstering, mussling, scalloping, offshore like haddocks and cod. Commercial fishing really went downhill in the late 90s in the Gulf of Maine. And I was looking to settle down. I really kind of missed 10 years of my life ashore, working on boats and whatnot. I got a job on land selling commercial fishing gear to the commercial fishermen, and part of that was dealing with a lot of rope. I was working for that company for a few years. A big company from Ireland came in, bought them out. They wanted me to stay on. And once again, 2 years later, I found myself in this position where commercial fishing once again went to hell, and all the boats moved down to Boston. So the company closed, right then, looking for a job. A lobsterman drove by me in his pickup truck. I'll never forget it. He threw the employment times at me, and he told me that Yale Cordage, a rope manufacturer, which was like 10 minutes from Portland, was hiring. And I took his advice, and I went down and I applied for a job at Yale Cordage Rope Manufacturer up here in Maine. I went in looking for a job as a rope splicer. That's really what I did. Mm-hmm. Since they found out my background working with customers and in retail and whatnot, they hired me as their assistant sales manager back in 2000, right? That's kind of where I started at Yale Cordage, and I worked there for 20 years. I worked my way up the ladder to vice president of sales. I traveled the world, sold millions of dollars worth of rope. I did it all just because, that was my job. I was raising a family, just trying to put everybody in, support, food on the table. 20 years later, I look myself in the mirror. I'm like, man, I'm missing it. I'm really missing it. I'm seeing the Eiffel Tower alone. I've been to Singapore alone, And meanwhile, my daughter's back home killing it in school and, doing great in sports. And my wife's parents are getting old. And my parents, haven't seen them in months or maybe even half a year. So, just walked into work one day and said, I'm done. I don't want to live in a hotel anymore. And kind of wanted to take a break from all of it. So I deleted my LinkedIn page, my Instagram, everything that had to do with where I was, who I was, and what I wanted to reinvent myself, to be honest. I wanted to learn a trade. I wanted to learn how to weld or, run a crane or do something that wasn't selling stuff and answering emails all day. It's really what I wanted to do. I was tired of that.
How old were you? May I ask?
Yeah, so I'm 50. So
okay.
At 48,
okay.
I walked in. My daughter's 18. She's graduating from high school. She's an all-star field hockey goalie. Highly, she was being recruited from all over the East Coast. So we were running to field hockey tournaments and stuff, and I was using all the frequent flyer miles that I was earning at my corporate job to fly us all over the country to do field hockey tryouts. So I was looking for a place for her to go to college for free because, college just kept getting more and more expensive. I walked into work and I said, well, I was just trying to get my daughter into college, basically.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a lot of stress. I didn't want to be away for it. I felt like I was missing a lot of the home time, and I could see a lot of the stress that I put on my family, just me coming home from Australia, doing a load of laundry, packing my bag, and then headed out to Germany,
Wow.
Within 3 days. And that was my lifestyle. All to do with rope,
And if I may ask, I'm sorry to interrupt you, I just got a question.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
who are all the users of rope? I know the shipping industry would be, and of course I know the utility industry would be, but is there people out there that use rope that the average person like myself doesn't know?
Tree climbers. So, arborists,
arborists
are a large user of rope. I say to people, they're like, wow, rope. I never even thought of that. And I'm like, well, did you bend over and tie your shoes this morning? It all starts there, right? You tied your shoes. It's a shoelace. It's made on a rope braider. It's a braided, it's a braiding machine. So it all starts getting people thinking, yeah, there's ropes being used everywhere. It's crazy. Outer space, the parachutes that the Mars rover used to land on Mars. The ropes that from the capsule to the chute itself. I mean, that was a huge NASA project for rope manufacturers. Yale Cordage has some ropes in Antarctica, studying neutrinos. It's science.
Right.
Science, all in the name of science. And the long lengths, which nobody really sees, is some of these 4-drum pullers in the utility industry. Some of those have 100,000 feet of rope on them. 4-drum puller, 22,000 feet, 4 drums, 88,000 feet of rope. That's insane.
Yeah.
When people say, how many millions of feet of rope did you sell, or how many hundreds of thousands? But it's a long time on a braiding machine. It's a big reel, and it's a good chunk of rope.
Yeah, when you start talking about that, you're talking about miles of rope on a drum. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, just to give you an idea, today we made 4 tie-up lines for the United States Coast Guard. One of their cutters is headed from Maine to the Hudson River to do ice breaking for the rest of the winter. And we had to get some 1 5/8 diameter 200 footers. So we're looking at, 1,000 feet of rope. And the stuff is, 1 5/8 diameter. It's huge. So we were wrestling with those today. In the meantime, took a website order for a guy in Rochester, New York, who wanted a sailboat rope. So we do a little bit of everything. That's what makes it so fun. I mean, back to me leaving my job by choice and just walking out. I really had no idea what I wanted to do. And about 6 months later, that company called me and said, hey, look, we got a small job that we think would be great for you if you want to do it. It's in Maine. It's a company that and you'd really be helping us out if you could do it. So I called the people, and the next morning I was up doing this rope splice on a single drum puller at 6 o'clock in the morning, about an hour and a half north of where I live. And that's really what started. I hadn't formed a business yet. I just was doing this little side gig as a splice. And on the drive home, I'm like, probably be something. Still not knowing what I wanted to do. I got another call, and then I got another call, and then calls just started coming. People actually were, searching me out and finding me. And at that point, my daughter was in school, was looking for a company name, and formed the Rope Guru and bought a website domain, and I'm doing it all myself. So it's taken a little bit longer than expected, but to be honest, it's grassroots. It's a lot of hard work, but to say that I've built something so far from nothing is pretty good.
In a quick time, I might add.
Just a dream.
Very, very quick, very quick time too. I love your logo too. It's really cool.
Thanks, I appreciate it. We got a lot of microbreweries up here in Maine, beer drinkers, because we get those short days and long nights of darkness. So we do nothing but drink beer around here. One of the local beer logo guys actually designed that for me. Oh, I owe him. Yeah, he's. I get a lot of compliments on that logo.
Yeah, I like.
But it was that thing. It just kind of just went out of the blue, and just I had no idea what I was doing. I just knew that I had 20 years of traveling all over the world selling rope. I had to have had a couple of contacts that I kept.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of these people that I was traveling to over 20 years, they become friends. They become part of the family. When they come to visit the factory for that time, they're not staying in hotels anymore. They're staying at your house.
Mm-hmm.
They're eating dinner with your family.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to your kids' softball games and stuff. There was a lot of relationship building. It was pretty cool. So a lot of those relationships just kind of carried over, I guess. And doing my own thing up here, servicing mainly we focus on the electrical utilities and the commercial marine waterfront. And I've got a lot of friends worldwide in the arborist industry, so we have some good headway that we make there, and some decent sales for the arborist industry. And there's some government stuff related to that. We do some stuff for the military. Military uses a lot of rope. We try to get involved in that as much as we can. We're small, and what makes us special is we can bob and weave, right? So if we're building, let's say, 15 winch lines for the local utility that needs them by, let's say, the end of the week, crap, can you do this? We can literally, I don't have to go to the front office, ask customer service, ask manufacturing, because I've done that, and it sucks.
Yeah.
So making our own decisions on the fly is great. I will mention, the week I quit and walked out, another person that ran, he was a rigger in the same company's rigging shop. He was not the head splicer, but he was a splicer there for 16 years. He was my go-to. Like, we started this thing, it was my idea and my backing and whatnot. But he's my right-hand guy. Spliced tens of thousands of pieces of rope. He knows a lot about taking things apart and putting them back together, and he's really good at it. He and I are on this venture together, so it hasn't been easy, but man, I'll tell you, it's been nice running your own business and doing, we can do. There's not a lot of red tape, the buck stops here, and it's fun. We have fun every day.
Yeah, and that's so important.
That's the goal.
Yeah,
that's the goal, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we have fun every day.
Yeah, sometimes I have a little too much fun at work, I think.
Yeah.
I think.
Hey, I've seen some Instagrams of the linemen. I mean, not everybody's having a bad day.
Yeah. That's what you make of it. Yeah, and
it is really.
You brought up something a second ago. So a couple things I picked up on. So one is you were 48, so you're 50 now, so you're just a couple years behind me. So we're in the same realm of adulthood, I guess you might say. But it's never too late to start something new, right? I mean,
absolutely not.
Yeah, it's never too late. And in this business, there's a lot of people that travel and probably feel the same way you do that can relate. I remember I only traveled for 6 years, 7 years, something like that, all the time. And I remember platinum with Marriott. You was diamond with Delta. I got upgraded all the time. And I remember somebody told me one time, said, yeah, You're lucky, man. You get all the room upgrades. You always get to sit in front.